At it again, and I've got I believe like 4 ads, Trump ads, to show you guys today. Actually, one I think is a JD Vance ad, but you know, same thing. As always, let me know which one was your favorite and why, as we always do. Comment below. But with that being said, let's dive in.
Greatness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't see where you're from, what you look like, or who you know. Greatness is for those who work for it, for those who keep moving forward. Greatness is for anyone willing to fight for it.
Okay, solid, nothing crazy, nothing too over the top, you know, it's all right. This one is the JD Vance one, so let's hop right on into it.
A lot of people feel like the American dream is further and further away. That if you work hard and play by the rules, it's a little bit harder to get ahead. It's a little bit harder to support a family, a little bit harder to buy a home. The world I grew up in was one where I think for the first time really in American history, you know, my parents' generation did not expect their children to necessarily have a better life than they did. And you saw that in all kinds of different ways, but you know, there was this sense growing up in Middletown in the 1990s that a lot of people didn't expect the future to be better than the past, and that's a really unique and a really tragic thing. The jobs started to disappear from that community, drugs started to move in, hopelessness started to move in, and so a lot of people who really knew that the future would be better than the past actually found a world that was a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging. I wrote Hillbilly Elegy because I wanted to give people a sense of what it was like to live in a community like mine. I didn't think a whole lot of stories were told about white working class Americans. I didn't think a lot of stories were told about people who were struggling with some of the problems we were struggling with, joblessness, drug addiction, and so forth. And I thought that I could tell a story that would make people understand my family a little bit better, and maybe in the process, understand the struggles of a lot of families. I come from the places that I want to represent, and what we need is to stop sending people that are of the DC swamp. We need to send people who are of the places they aim to represent. I want to fight for the people that I come from.
The American media has been laundering foreign disinformation. It is disgusting. Instead of talking about the crises in our country, they try to silence the people who are experiencing them. Who do you want answering the phone? Do you want a person who hides from the friendly American media, or do you want a person who takes a bullet to the head and stands up and says, fight, fight, fight? Kamala Harris, you ought to have respect enough for your own people to enforce their border laws and listen to them. Listen to them when they complain about it. Don't pretend they're bad people. We're not bad people for loving this country. You're a bad person for doing this to the country in the first place.
Wow. Yeah, hey, that one right there, that was good right there. That was good. That was good. She's a bad person for doing this to the country in the first place. Absolutely. And listen, I think this debate, I believe it's tonight, between JD Vance and Tim Walz is going to be hilarious to watch. Hilarious. Because Tim Walz is just as bad as Kamala, in my humble opinion. And it is being told that nobody is going to be fact-checked. So I think JD Vance was smart in making sure that there was a even playing field. If there was fact-checking goes on both sides. If there's no fact-checking, then there's no fact-checking at all for anybody, right? So that is going to be a pretty interesting thing to see. And you're already seeing them try to lower the expectations for Tim Walz in this debate because they know he's going to get destroyed. But let's continue on with number 3. I think this is. Check it out.
Bidenomics is working.
Bidenomics is working.
We have the strongest economy in the world.
Our economy is the strongest in the world.
My Build Back Better framework.
Our Build Back Better framework.
To a steady and stable growth.
Stable and steady growth.
We've come so far since my inauguration.
Our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office.
Nothing says her vision like copy and paste from the boss, does it? Right? I mean, come on.
She said the country has come a long way since her and Biden have taken office. And she is 1000% correct. But this country has gone the absolute wrong direction. Okay? We have gone backwards and not forward in many, many ways. Many, many ways. And it's just absolutely disgusting. And, she hasn't said anything that makes me believe that her being the next president would change any of that. As a matter of fact, I believe it would only get a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. But anyway, let's move on to the fourth and final one. Check it out.
I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Who really is Kamala Harris? She's been telling us her entire career.
I support our sanctuary law.
The illegal immigrant deported multiple times who stands accused of killing Kate Steinle.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
You know,
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Abolish ICE. Yeah. Is that a position that you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
Will you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
How come she hasn't applied consequences the last 3.5 years? 10 million illegal encounters, 2 million gotaways, 600% increase in sex trafficking, more terrorists coming across the border, a record number of people off the terrorist watch list, and over 250,000 Americans dead to fentanyl that comes across the border. Consequences, there ought to be consequences for her failure.
We have a secure border. The border is secure.
Sickening new details about the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The 22-year-old was beaten to death with a mystery object.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't.
Kamala Harris. Do you trust her to stop the invasion?
Not at all. I don't trust her even one bit. Not even 1% of me trust her on fixing the border. She's had plenty of time to fix the border. And some people, Democrats always answer, well, she's not the president. Well, we know Joe Biden ain't running the show, so who is? If it's not her, then that should also raise even more questions, because why didn't she step up in the time when she should have to be a leader? We know Joe ain't running the show, so who's running it? If it ain't her, then who is? And if she's not, why isn't she? It literally is very, very simple for her to walk up to Joe Biden and say, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z, sign the executive order, let's get this done. Joe Biden's not going to say no. Why would he? There's no reason to say no. And if he did, she can come out and say it and expose him. Hey, I proposed this to Joe Biden to get through via an executive order, and he told me no. So my hands are tied right now because I'm not president, and I can't overstep him. It's simple, right? It is very, very simple. This isn't complicated. This isn't rocket science here, but she doesn't want to. They want a permanent class of individuals who will vote Democrat the same way black people have for the past 60 years. They know that their hold on black people and Hispanics is starting to fade away. They're starting to lose grip. And so they want to bring in a whole new class of folks in order to do that. The same thing that happened to California, right? California hasn't always been deep blue. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of counties in California that are deep red. But anyway, let me know your favorite one. My favorite would probably be the J.D. Vance one. Or the last one that we just watched, because that one was good too. That one was exposing a lot on Kamala. But like I said, let me know your opinions. As always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.